Hi, my name is Allie Bragger, and I would love to take just a few minutes of your time to be able to talk about my internship this semester. So, I worked for the Box Elder School District in their elementary behavioral unit in the special education program, and this is something that I have come to love and appreciate with such amazing students that have really taught me a lot. And so, actually, how I was able to arrange my internship is that I am an employee for Box Elder School District located in Brigham City, Utah. And I work at 3 Mile Creek Elementary, which is where the behavioral unit is located. And so last year, when I started working for the behavioral unit, I I started talking to my former supervisor about an internship. And I knew that we did behavioral intervention, and she said that this would be a perfect internship and it would be approved that I could be able to work and also do my schooling. And then when I got a new supervisor this last year, I talked to her about it and she was more than willing to work with me on the requirements that I needed to fulfill this internship this semester. And so it's been amazing to be able to work underneath an awesome, just awesome lady who has taught me so much about being able to help these students. And so in this picture, some of the ladies with some of these ladies are from the special education unit or program, I should say, and I work closely with a couple of them as I'm in and out of their in and out of the resource classroom, and I have also partially worked in functional skills, which I will explain that a little bit later on in this presentation. But some of the responsibilities which I held were for behavioral intervention with the students. So often the aides are seen sitting in the back of the classroom with a clipboard with a tracker, kind of tracking the behavior for the students. And we just kind of observe throughout the day what the student is doing inside the classroom and often are there to support the teacher. Other tasks which we have are helping the students to effectively communicate when they are frustrated, mad, sad, overwhelmed, or scared. We also strive to teach them coping behaviors when they may not feel motivated to do their work, when they are feeling such strong emotions. We also teach them how to talk when they have calmed down, take a break when they're overwhelmed, and just be having those different resources for these students to be able to understand and observe that they are feeling in such a way that they need to just take a step back and be able to recognize what they're doing. And oftentimes I have seen that it's usually these small things that upset the student, but a lot of it has to do with what they are dealing with at home before they come to school. And often, as an aide, we are there to support the teacher. These kids strive so hard to do their work, which they are given, but can become overwhelmed because sometimes they may not work as fast as other students, or things may not make sense to them. So, especially at 3 Mile Creek, the behavioral unit is very new to a lot of these teachers, so they haven't experienced a lot of what our students have to deal with because 3 Mile Creek is located in a higher social economic status neighborhood where the students all have, most of them come from stable homes where both mom and dad are married and they live, or they just have that stable life where these kids don't. And so many teachers, we are there to kind of just help support them in the classroom. If a child or if our student becomes a little bit overwhelmed, then we are able to take them out and be able to give them the support that they need to calm down to be able to go back to class. And most days, it's just involved with sitting and observing the student and sometimes giving them gentle reminders to participate or listen in class. And so most days it really isn't that bad. but there can be challenging days. And another thing is that you need to be creative and quick on your feet because of the circumstances that many of the behavioral students come from. You never know what is happening. You never know what will happen throughout the day. If something happened before they came to school, or if something's going on at home, any little thing may set them off. And so you need to have innovative thinking and ideas to help these students learn good coping strategies that they can enact in their own life. And so some of the responsibilities I had was I had one specific project I was given by my supervisor was helping a young boy in the second grade transition from the behavioral unit because he was placed in the wrong unit in the special education program to functional skills. And so for a while, I worked with him one-on-one without being put into the rotation with all the other students. And as he transitioned into functional skills, I was also given the opportunity to work with other aides in there to help them get to know this young boy and kind of to know his quirks and his things that really set him off. And as I did this, it was able to help this young boy with his transition and make him feel comfortable in functional skills after I was pulled. And a lot of this in his transition had a lot to do with gaining his trust and being able to gain a good relationship with him. And because of that relationship that I had and helping him with that transition, I'll actually often walk by the functional skills and I'll pop in and say hi. And the little joke that he and I have developed is he'll run up to me and he'll say, "No more Allie, no more Allie." And so to me, that just makes me feel like I've made a difference in his life because I worked with him for a good couple months before he was actually able to make that transition in a good way and be able to be successful in his new placement. And so it makes me happy to see that I've been able to make that difference as I help these aides learn and understand like his different behavioral tactics and how he needed the most help in certain ways. Other ways that I've been able to help through my work is that I've been able to make the kids feel comfortable and feel as if I am their friend. I mean, there's often times that I have to be stern because these students need it's necessary to be able to be upfront with these students of what you expect and what you want them to accomplish. And so, but they are also able to talk to me when they are feeling overwhelmed. And I've also been able to learn to help them feel validated with those emotions that they're feeling because their feelings are worth acknowledging and talking about. Let's see. Another way which I've been able to help is supporting the teachers within the classroom. While the teacher needs to take charge of the learning and education of the students, I am there to help with the students' behavior. And so when they are escalated, they are often taken out of class to calm down and reflect before they are ready to go back to class. When they do have relatively good behavior, I'm just there to remind them of their goals if they end up getting off track during the day. So I'm usually just there to help them refocus in class if the teacher is struggling a little bit with them. But this job has really helped me to grow. I have loved being able to work with these students. I have learned, though, that it is necessary to have a thick skin because there is a lot of foul language that can come out of their mouths. And I have been called several foul names from these students that you wouldn't expect them to, sometimes you just don't expect them to use that type of language because they're so young. But it's also important to not take things too personally when they say things, because they might be going through something at home that you may not understand or you may not know. And it's also necessary to maintain a good control over your emotions, because if you don't, then when you become escalated, the kid becomes escalated, and then when the kid escalates, you escalate even more. And so it's been an adventure to be able to learn those lessons about myself and be able to improve myself so that I can help those students even more in the future. Um, but I have also been able to see my own personal growth because of these students. Even on their hardest days, I have learned to love these students. I realize that even kids are allowed to have their hard days. And sometimes they just need that time to be able to be kids and just throw a chair if they're angry, in a safe place, though, in a safe place. I have also learned patience, a lot of patience. There are times when these kids will be stubborn and refuse to listen, do their work, and they will constantly argue with you. And these things can make the day really, really long and hard for both of us. But it is on those days that I have learned that maybe the student just needs to come and have someone listen to them while they talk. These kids, as I've mentioned before, come from rough backgrounds where they don't always get the support they need. So if that is something I can provide for them, I will. The last important thing I have learned is that it's okay to take a break. There's been times where I've just needed to take like a 20-minute break, and so I just end up texting my supervisor or one of the other aides, and I just say, hey, I need a break, and then I go somewhere and I break down and I cry. But it's usually after just a few minutes of stepping away, I'm fine and I can function the rest of the day. Because sometimes these days are overwhelming, and sometimes working with such students can take a toll. But some of the connections that I was able to find through this internship is in family theories and dynamics. Within the social interactionism theory, these students learn different meanings and interactions with people based on their interactions within their family. One time, when asked to do their work, I had a student turn around to me and say, "You are just like my brother. He forces me to do things." So sometimes speaking in a certain tone or saying something can set these kids off. Their negative interactions within their family really does influence the way they are able to connect and interact with me and the other aides. I have found that these students represent those who are trying to help them as their oppressors instead of their helpers. So it is important to show love towards these students when they need it the most. I'm not quite sure who to contact, but the special education advisor or instructor over all the school district is Catherine Allen. And if anybody who would love to do this job, be ready to have a thick skin and lots of learning moments, because that's what it basically is. It has really in it has really influenced me to be able to be the best that I can be when it comes to these students and their interactions. Thanks.